Welcome to Top 2 Day. Today, we're diving into 10 more disturbing movies that truly crossed the line. These films were banned, censored, or caused real chaos the moment they hit theaters. You can check out the first part of this video right here, so don't be surprised if your favorite is missing. This is a completely fresh list with no repeats. I'll also mention where exactly you can find these movies. Before we start, if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And let me know in the comments, what's the most shocking film you've ever seen? Let's go! Number 10. Cannibal Holocaust, 1980. The plot is simple. A team of American filmmakers ventures deep into the Amazon rainforest to document indigenous tribes. When they disappear, a rescue crew recovers their lost footage, and what they find is pure horror. The tapes reveal not just brutal tribal rituals, but the crew's descent into madness, cruelty, and staged atrocities for the sake of shock value. But here's what made the film infamous. The gore felt too real. Audiences thought it was a real snuff film. Director Ruggero Deodato was arrested and forced to prove the actors were still alive. Add to that real animal killings on screen, and you've got a movie so disturbing it was banned in over 50 countries. You can find this film on YouTube. Yes, don't be shocked. There are many more films like this available there, on Netflix or in Internet Archive. Number 9. I Spit on Your Grave, 2010. At first glance, this brutal revenge horror might seem like just another modern exploitation flick, but did you know it's actually a remake of a 1978 cult classic that was so controversial it was banned in multiple countries? The story follows a young writer who rents a remote cabin to work on her novel, but what begins as solitude turns into a nightmare when she's attacked by a group of local men. Left for dead, she survives, only to return with one purpose: to make each of them pay. The 2010 version doesn't hold back, but it's surprisingly loyal to the raw, unfiltered rage of the original film, while updating the intensity for a modern audience. It's not an easy watch, but if you think you've seen revenge horror before, this one redefines it. Both movies should be available on Apple TV or Netflix. Number 8. Tumbling Doll of Flesh, 1998. Let's get one thing straight. This is barely a film. It's underground Japanese torture porn disguised as an adult video shoot until it spirals into something straight out of hell. So why is it even on this list? Because, somehow, it's on IMDb, which technically qualifies it as a movie, barely. There's no real plot, just a man and a woman arriving to shoot a private scene. What follows is over an hour of handheld, unscored, shaky footage filled with mutilation, torture, and sexual violence so extreme, even hardcore horror fans walk out. No cuts, no music, no relief, just pure, unfiltered human depravity. The full film is on Internet Archive. Also, that was the one and only extreme Japanese torture horror in this list. If you're curious about that genre, just search for Kuroda and similar titles. Consider yourself warned. Number 7. The Pikipsy Tapes, 2007. Here's a wild fact. The Pikipsy Tapes was basically banned before it even got a proper release. After its festival debut, the studio pulled it, thinking it was just too disturbing for audiences. But that didn't stop the movie from leaking online, where it quickly became a cult horror legend. The story is chilling. Cops find hundreds of VHS tapes in an abandoned house, all shot by a serial killer showing his brutal crimes, from stalking to torture. The whole film is pieced together through this footage, making it feel like you're watching something terrifyingly real. Because of its rawness and realistic vibe, many viewers actually believed it was real found footage, which only added to the freakout factor. If you want to see it for yourself, it's available on Apple TV and some other streaming platforms. But fair warning, it's not for the faint-hearted. Number 6. The Exorcist, 1973. Now let's talk about the classic, the old-school cult film that's still terrifying audiences nearly 50 years later. The Exorcist wasn't just a horror movie, it changed the game forever. It's based on a real case of demonic possession reported in the 1940s, which made the story hit even closer to home for viewers back then. The plot follows a young girl, Regan, who begins exhibiting strange and violent behavior. Her mother turns to medical experts, but when science can't explain it, they call in 2 priests to perform a terrifying exorcism. Due to its intense and graphic content, some countries and local theaters refused to screen it. In certain regions, it was either heavily cut or outright banned because people found it too disturbing and controversial, especially given its religious themes and shocking scenes. The film was nominated for 10 Oscars and still holds a legendary spot in horror history. You can find The Exorcist on most major streaming platforms, so if you haven't seen it yet, prepare yourself for a truly classic nightmare. Number 5. Hereditary, 2018. At first, Hereditary feels like a quiet family drama wrapped in grief, but what it becomes is something far more terrifying. When Annie's mother dies, strange things begin to unravel in her home. Disturbing visions, cryptic symbols, and a family history far darker than anyone could have imagined. But Hereditary doesn't rely on jump scares. It builds dread slowly, crawling under your skin with every whispered line and shadowy frame. Then, Charlie's scene happens, and everything changes. The film spirals into a hellish descent, mixing cults, possession, and raw emotional breakdowns. By the end, you're not sure what's more horrifying, the supernatural evil or the emotional destruction it leaves behind. This film broke people. It sent audiences into silence when the credits rolled. It's not banned, but Hereditary still made many wish they could unsee what they just witnessed. You can watch it on Apple TV, Netflix, or other platforms. Number 4. Nocturnal Animals, 2016. Now, let's take a break from extreme gore and step into something psychologically devastating. Nocturnal Animals isn't a horror film in the traditional sense. It's beautiful, haunting, and quietly brutal. A movie that messes with your head rather than your stomach. A story is a film within a film. A wealthy art gallery owner, Amy Adams, receives a manuscript from her ex-husband, Jake Gyllenhaal, and as she reads it, the lines between fiction and reality begin to blur. The manuscript tells the story of a man who experiences unimaginable violence and loss, and it acts as a mirror, reflecting the emotional devastation of their failed marriage. Everything here is soaked in pain, guilt, revenge, and a deep sense of emptiness. And that ending? Cold, unforgiving, perfect. You can watch the film on Netflix and other platforms. Number 3. Titicut Follys, 1967. This one isn't a horror movie. It's real, and that's what makes it so disturbing. Directed by Frederick Wiseman, Titicut Follys is a black-and-white documentary that takes you inside the Bridgewater State Hospital for the criminally insane in Massachusetts. The film was so controversial and exposing that it was banned from public viewing in the US for over 20 years. Not because of violence or nudity, but because of what it revealed about the system. Even today, Titicut Follys is hard to watch. It's not entertainment. It's a cold, clinical descent into how people lose their humanity, both the patients and their keepers. Also, this film is extremely hard to find at the moment, but Reddit can help. Let's take a short break. If you've watched this far, just letting you know, you're amazing. Number 2 is a little out of place, but this movie banned in some countries as well. It caused major international controversy. And before we dive into our number 1, which is truly shocking, let's take a breather with something a bit explosive. Number 2, The Interview, 2014. Yes, it is banned in North Korea. This satirical comedy starring James Franco and Seth Rogen somehow managed to piss off an entire dictatorship. The plot? An American talk show host and his producer are recruited by the CIA to assassinate Kim Jong-un. It was meant to be a raunchy comedy. Instead, it led to threats of cyber terrorism, major political tension between the US and North Korea, and even a massive hack of Sony Pictures. The film's release was pulled from major theaters. Some called it too dangerous to show. It's not a horror film. It's not a thriller. But it's one of the few movies in history that actually caused international panic. You can watch it on YouTube, Apple TV, and other platforms. Number 1, Faces of Death, 1978. This isn't just a banned film. Faces of Death is a cinematic legend, a pseudo-documentary that blurred the line between fact and fiction. It claimed to show real footage of death, executions, autopsies, accidents, and other horrific events. Some scenes were faked, others disturbingly real, and that's exactly what made it so terrifying. Upon release, it was immediately banned in dozens of countries including the UK, Norway, New Zealand, and Australia. In fact, it was one of the first films labeled as a video nasty, meaning it was deemed so morally corrupting it had to be removed from public circulation. And while it gained notoriety as a kind of forbidden VHS, whispered about, shared in secret, many who saw it were left with lasting trauma. What makes Faces of Death truly shocking isn't just the content, it's the feeling that what you're watching shouldn't be seen. Brutal footage delivered with a cold documentary tone. Even today, with the internet offering every kind of graphic content imaginable, Faces of Death still manages to disturb. Currently, it is fully available in internet and anyone can find it. So, here we are. And that was our countdown of the most shocking, banned, and controversial films ever made. Which one would you dare to watch? Or maybe you know something even more darker. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you survive this one, check out our first video about disturbing films next. Who knows? You might just rediscover your childhood trauma. Subscribe to Top 2 Day for more insane countdowns every week. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.